During the Great Age of Sail, the British Royal Navy was perhaps the most dominant military force the world had ever seen. But its supremacy, well, it wasn't just forged in the dockyards or won in the crucible of battle. Its greatest weapon, you see, may have been something far less obvious. Just consider this staggering fact. During the Napoleonic Wars, for every single warship the British lost, they captured or destroyed 5 of the enemies, a 5-to-1 ratio. Now, this wasn't just a slight advantage, it was overwhelming, almost absolute dominance. So you have to ask, what was their secret? We often hear about superior tactics, or better trained sailors, or maybe some technological edge. And sure, all of those things played a part, but they don't tell the whole story. Not even close. The real answer is found somewhere much more surprising. It's not on the high seas, it's here, in the smoky, bustling interior of a 17th century London coffee house. This is where the true foundation of an empire was laid, one cup and one contract at a time. And this is where our narrative truly begins. Welcome to Inside History HD. Together, we will peel back the layers of narratives long locked away in the archives of history. Picture London in the late 1600s. It was humming with commerce, and right at the heart of it all were dozens of coffee houses. Each one was like a specialized little hub. You had coffee houses for stock traders, some for artists, and, crucially for our story, for the shipping industry. The business that really flourished there was marine insurance. What's so fascinating about this is what it actually does. It takes the terrifying, random chance of a ship sinking in a storm or being captured by pirates, and it transforms that chaos into a simple, manageable, predictable business expense. And the undisputed center of this industry was a place called Lloyds. It started out in 1688, simply as a place to get reliable shipping news. But by the 1730s, it was the place for insurance. Its reputation grew so immense that by 1739, it was Lloyds that delivered the news of a major naval victory directly to the Prime Minister himself, before the government even knew. So, how on earth did a simple coffee shop become this powerful? Well, the owner, Edward Lloyd, had a truly brilliant insight. He realized that to accurately price risk, the most valuable commodity wasn't gold or spices, it was reliable information. He created a whole system. First, you gather intelligence from everyone, captains, merchants, sailors. Second, you curate all of that raw gossip and data into a published, reliable source, the famous Lloyd's list. Third, you let underwriters use this data to precisely calculate the financial risk of any given voyage. And fourth, you enable global trade to flourish because that risk was now completely manageable. It was, for all intents and purposes, one of the world's very first data centers. Now, this system didn't just make a few merchants rich, it built something truly formidable for the nation itself. It gave British commerce an almost unbelievable resilience, a kind of financial shock absorber that its rivals in Europe simply couldn't replicate, especially in wartime. You see, in peacetime, insuring a ship was just a minor cost of doing business, but in wartime, the risk of being captured by an enemy vessel, it skyrocketed. Insurance premiums could jump to a staggering 75% of a cargo's value, becoming the single biggest expense of the entire voyage. And right here, this is the aha moment. The source material in the essay, Insurance as Empire, reveals the absolute genius of the Lloyd's system. A merchant didn't just insure their ship and cargo, which we see here valued at £4,200. No, they could also insure the massive premium itself. So think about what that means. If the ship was lost, they didn't just get the value of the ship back, they got everything back. A catastrophic loss on the ocean became a complete break-even event on the ledger. It was nothing short of financial alchemy. And this, right here, just brilliantly illustrates that connection. The Royal Navy could afford to be aggressive, to lose ships, to sustain a global blockade, because the entire commercial backbone of the nation was, for all practical purposes, financially unsinkable. Private capital, not just the state treasury, was absorbing the shock of war. But to fully grasp the scale of this financial power, we have to confront its darkest foundation. According to historical research on Lloyds, a huge portion of this wealth was generated by insuring ships involved in the transatlantic slave trade, accounting for as much as 40% of all marine insurance income in the late 18th century. This commercial resilience translated directly into a staggering military advantage. Because Britain could almost always replace its losses, the Royal Navy could adopt a hyper-aggressive posture that its enemies simply couldn't afford to match. And the numbers, they're just astonishing. The analysis documented in Less Wrong shows that during the 7 Years' War, in these one-on-one ship duels, the British inflicted 7 casualties for every one they suffered, 7-1. And it gets even more extreme. For the largest warships, the powerful ships of the line that were the core of the battle fleet, the kill ratio during the Napoleonic Wars was an almost unbelievable 30-1. This wasn't a fight, it was a foreclosure. So why was the British system just so much better? Well, it boils down to 3 key reasons. 1, it was a decentralized private market, far more agile and innovative than the rigid, state-run insurance systems in France and Spain. 2, it created incredible financial endurance. And 3, the prize money system, which gave crews a cut of any captured enemy ship, perfectly aligned personal profit with national military objectives. When we take a step back, the story of Lloyds offers a truly profound lesson about where power really comes from. It's often not in the things we can easily see, like cannons and sails. And this brings us back to the central, revolutionary idea from Insurance as Empire. The power of the Royal Navy, the instrument that built a global empire, was ultimately underwritten not by the state, but by a network of private individuals in a coffee house, calculating odds on scraps of paper. So, the ultimate takeaway here is this. Real, lasting power often resides in the invisible systems, the financial frameworks, the information networks, the incentive structures that allow the more visible instruments of power to function and, more importantly, to endure. And that leaves us with a final, lingering question. If a simple coffeehouse ledger could determine the fate of empires 200 years ago, what are the invisible financial and informational systems that are shaping the balance of power in our world right now? If this journey has offered you a new perspective, support our exploration by subscribing to Insight History HD. Thank you for listening, and I will see you in the next narrative.